When I retired, all I wanted was peace. After decades in public service, fighting cases in courtrooms across the state, I bought a quiet house on a cul-de-sac and planted my garden. I didn't flaunt who I was. Neighbors just knew me as John, the guy who likes roses. But one person couldn't leave me alone, Karen, the HOA president. She fined me for having non-standard mulch. She demanded I repaint my shutters a community-approved beige. When I refused to cut down my century-old oaks, she threatened legal action. I smiled politely, paid no fines, and kept living my life. But Karen wasn't used to someone ignoring her. So she escalated. One Tuesday morning, I opened my mailbox to find a thick envelope stamped legal notice. Inside was a lawsuit filed by the HOA, accusing me of multiple violations and seeking damages. Attached was a letter. You will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Our attorney will see to it. I chuckled. It had been years since I stood in court, but the thrill of battle stirred again. The HOA thought they could bury me under paperwork. What they didn't know was that I was the former Attorney General of the state. They had just handed me a case on my favorite turf. The day of the hearing, I walked into the courthouse in my worn suit, the same one I'd worn when I argued before the state Supreme Court. Across the aisle sat the HOA's lawyer, a slick young man with gelled hair and too much confidence. Karen sat behind him, smirking. Your Honor, the lawyer began, this homeowner has repeatedly violated community bylaws. We seek immediate injunctive relief and damages to protect property values. He went on for 20 minutes, listing mulch colors, shutter shades, and tree heights as if they were mortal sins. Karen nodded along, glaring at me like she'd already won. Finally, the judge turned to me. Mr. Davis, your response? I rose, slowly smoothing my tie. Your Honor, before we begin, let me state for the record, I'm John Davis, former Attorney General of this state, and this entire case is not only frivolous but potentially criminal in nature. The room went silent. Karen's jaw dropped. The young lawyer blinked, clearly realizing too late who he was up against. I laid out the facts. First, my property was grandfathered in under county code, which superseded HOA bylaws. Second, half the citations weren't even real. Karen had fabricated them. I had photos, time-stamped records, and witness affidavits ready. Then I delivered the coup de grace, and finally, Your Honor, this lawsuit constitutes harassment. The HOA president has knowingly abused her authority, filed false claims, and wasted the court's time. I moved for dismissal with prejudice and sanctions. The judge leaned back, clearly amused. Mr. Davis, I had no idea you were the Attorney General. I smiled. Retired, Your Honor, but some habits don't fade. The verdict was swift. The case was dismissed. The HOA was ordered to pay my legal fees and fines for filing baseless claims. Karen turned crimson, whispering furiously at her lawyer. He avoided her gaze, probably already drafting his resignation from her nonsense. But it didn't end there. Using my old connections, I filed a formal complaint with the state bar against both Karen and her board for misusing legal resources. Within months, the HOA was under investigation. Several members resigned. Karen herself was forced out as president. Now, my roses bloom in peace. The oak tree stands tall. My shutters remain defiantly blue. Neighbors still talk about the day Karen sent a lawyer to destroy John, only to discover that John had once run the very system she tried to exploit. The HOA wanted a fight. They got one. They learned the hard way. You don't prosecute the former Attorney General. You get prosecuted instead.